Hi everyone, it's your girl Desiree and I'm back with another video, and I want to talk about 5 reasons why sneaky links are not safe. Make sure you stay tuned. So number 1, sneaky links allow people to hide things or hide people from you that you may need to know about. So for example, if you're dealing with a man and he has a wife, if y'all are a sneaky link situation, it's easier for him to hide that from you. And for a woman who does not want to be dealing with a man who's married, this can be detrimental. It could also be unsafe because you don't know how his wife may respond if she finds out you didn't even know that they were married. There's children involved. There's all sorts of stuff going on. You know what I mean? He may be living with people that you may not be aware of. There may be a lot of things that he may be keeping from you because it's not a substantial relationship. It's not a relationship where you really are being vulnerable and really getting to know each other. So it's easier for that person to keep stuff from you that may be important for you to know. And of course, when we meet people, it takes time for us to get to know them and vice versa. But we do want to make sure, as we're adults and we're getting older, that we are letting people know what it is that they need to know. And some people may feel like they may not need to tell you certain things because you're just a sneaky link, right? But the problem is, like I said, if it's a situation like where they're married, that can actually put you in a situation where now you're in the middle of this triangle where you didn't really want to be in that. But because it's not a substance level relationship, it was easier for them to hide that from you. So you do have to be careful with these type of sneaky type of situations. It could also be dangerous. You don't know who they may be living with. You can be caught in there with them and somebody walks in. So I'm not saying this doesn't happen with regular relationships, but it's far more easier for you not to see and find out about these things if y'all are just a sneaky link situation. Oh yeah, and I also wanted to say too that if you are putting yourself in a sneaky link situation or just a situation that's not serious, you may know that there may be things that you need to disclose to that person. You may be in that situation where you have somebody already. You may be in a situation where you got kids or you got other stuff going on, but because you know that this person is not going to be serious and you don't even know if they're even going to stick around, you may not tell them. And now that might put them in a situation where now they're like, why didn't you tell me this? Why didn't you tell me that? I would have rather know this before I put myself in a situation. So to minimize a lot of that stuff, it's best to have substance level relationships. 2 people both striving to be transparent with each other. Of course, you ain't got to tell each other everything off the bat, but whatever you need to know, I tell you. Whatever I need to know, you tell me. And as we continue to grow, we continue to unfold different things about each other to one another. I think that's a lot healthier than the sneaky link stuff, because if it's a sneaky link thing and you don't even know if this person's going to be here 2 months from now you done unraveled your whole life story to them, not even know if they're going to stay. But at the same time, like I said, there may be some things they may need to know that they don't find out, and now it becomes a thing later on. So that's why I say, like, it ain't even just always the other person keeping stuff. It could be on your end too, and it gets tricky. So to minimize that, it's better to only deal with people that you see something of substance with. That's my take on that for number 1. Number 2 is basically that sneaky links provide less protection for you because nobody knows about y'all. So if this person is like unsafe for you physically, not even just physically, but just in general, nobody knows that y'all are even dealing with each other, because that's the whole point. Y'all are sneaky links. And this can put you in a situation where it's like, now you're isolated with this person and nobody knows that you even dealing with this person. If something happens to you, nobody even knew that you were even dealing with this guy. Nobody even knew that you was dealing with this woman. So to me, it's unsafe to have a situation where y'all just sneaking around and nobody knows. And is that even healthy? You know, like, you can't even talk about this person with your friends or family. I understand, like, you don't got to share about every single person you date with friends and family. But if this is somebody that you're physical with, it's just kind of unfortunate that you're physically sharing your body with somebody that you can't even tell people about them. Because either they don't want people to know about you, you don't want people to know about them, or it's most likely, I'm assuming this is mutual. I've never had no sneaky link situation like that where it's like, oh, we ain't finna tell nobody. It's like, I don't know, that's just kind of, I don't know. So I would assume it's a mutual thing. I don't know if it's like an actual conversation or if it's just like a unspoken rule, like we're just sneaky links. But to me, it can be unsafe for people who are dealing with people, and it doesn't have to always be that they're physically harmful. It could be other stuff going on as well, that because you're isolated with this person, nobody knows. So you just have to be careful with stuff like that. Anytime you're doing stuff in the secret, that can be a red flag. I'm not saying everybody gotta know your business, but that doesn't mean everybody ain't gotta be secret either. Anything done in the darkness, many times it's because something is going on that shouldn't be going on. That's why it's done in the darkness. So we have to be very careful with relationships like that. So the third reason why sneaky links are not safe is that you can end up joining yourself with somebody that you have no intentions on being with. When you are laying down with somebody, you are joining yourself with this person mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And you develop a tie with this person, a bond with this person. And sometimes that bond can be extremely tight and extremely coiled to where it becomes very challenging to untangle that, even when you move on physically from that person. And then there's also the aspect of possibly having a child with this person, even though that may not be your intentions. So now you're ended up having not only a tie with this person, but also having a child with somebody that you were never intended to be with in the first place. So to me, this is very unsafe, and I doubt that will turn into anything healthy. There's always exceptions to the rule where a sneaky link situation can turn into something that is blossoming and y'all are now in a committed relationship. Y'all have a child together and y'all are blooming. But that's not the reality of most situations. So that's another thing that you have to be very careful of, especially when it comes to children, because now a child is being brought into a sneaky link situation. So like I mentioned before, this is a situation that nobody knows about, and now there's a child involved in it. How healthy could that possibly be? And is that person, I'm sure that person is probably not going to be as supportive of that child being brought into the world, being that they don't want anybody to know about the relationship. The woman may not be happy about bringing the child. The guy may not be happy about the woman wanting to bring the child. And I don't know. To me, it just seems like it could be a very unsafe situation to join yourself with somebody like that. People say, oh, it's just intimacy, we're just having fun. But intimacy is not just about having fun. It's a very serious, it's a very powerful force. Like I said, it joins you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically with another person. That's one of the highest forms of intimacy that a person can have with another person. I'm not saying that that's the only form, because you can have very high forms of intimacy and bonding with people that you've never been physical with, right? But that's one of the ways where you can really join yourself with somebody, especially if a child is produced out of that. You two come together, you bring your genetics together, and you create a life from that. This is very serious. So it would be very unfortunate for somebody to jump at something like this thinking it's just fun. We're just having fun. We're just, doing what we do. We're just being free, just for that to transpire into something like that. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention. So the fourth reason is that sneaky links do not offer any substance, while simultaneously you are becoming very intimate and vulnerable with an individual. So I guess this kind of piggybacks on what I just said, with how joining yourself with somebody physically like that is very, very powerful. So if there is no substance behind the relationship and you're being this vulnerable and joining yourself that intimately with a person, this can be a recipe for disaster. A lot of times we think that we can just, I just won't get close to you, but at the same time, I'll join myself to you in such an intimate way. It doesn't work that way. It's almost like you're fooling yourself if you think that you're not still joining yourself with an individual intimately and in a vulnerable way. You may not be doing so emotionally as far as talking and opening up yourself and letting this person see the real you, but you are still making yourself very, very vulnerable to the other person. And many women in particular, they're not able to do that with being able to compartmentalize and not become attached and not eventually want more and wondering where it's going and all this stuff. A lot of women say that they can do it, but the average woman, after some time goes, they may not be able to do it. At least not a healthy woman who is in her femininity and is vulnerable and soft and really wants to bond and be vulnerable with a man. She would have to turn that off, right, in order for her to really be able to to do that. And maybe some women can, but I just don't believe that the average woman can just turn off like a light switch like that and then turn it back off, turn it back on, and then be able to still be healthy doing that. Sometimes when a woman has gone through various forms of trauma, sometimes when a woman has been through a series of experiences where she's become numb or she's become kind of detached, then maybe she can do it. But in that case, that's not healthy, right? So can a healthy, functioning woman who has a healthy attachment style, who is whole within herself, she is open to love, and she really wants to bond, can that woman be able to do a sneaky link where nobody knows what y'all doing, nobody knows about y'all, and you are continuously making yourself physically vulnerable to a man? I don't know. I just don't believe. And even men, even men, they'll be intimate with somebody over a course of time, and then eventually they start to get attached to the woman too, right? They may not express it in the same way as the woman may express it on average, but men get attached too. So once again, is this healthy? Even if people can do it, is it healthy? That's the question. And I don't believe that it is, because I don't believe that that's how intimacy works. So I would advise people away from the sneaky link situation. The last thing is that sneaky links set a standard for yourself and for other people. So for yourself, depending on how many times you do it, you can actually start to create a pattern. And our mind and our brains are very powerful. And our brains actually physically change when we make decisions. And if we keep making the same decisions, the makeup of our brain actually changes. And I'm not a neurologist. I'm not, heavy into that stuff. But from what I've learned, there's pathways that are created, and it gets thicker and thicker the more you keep doing the same things, and it becomes harder to break. So you may think, oh, well, I can just keep doing all these sneaky links, just like with anything else, friends with benefits and all these different things, casual flings. But this is what you're setting your body up, your spirit up, your emotions up. This is what you're setting yourself up to be used to. And then do you think you're going to be able to do all of that and then right after be able to then get into a healthy relationship, unless maybe you take some time off before you do that? But and then once again, you've joined yourself to people. So I think it's very unsafe, and it sets a certain standard for yourself. And do you want to start off with that type of standard? Maybe some people didn't start off that way. Maybe some people started doing that later on in life, or after they've already been in serious relationships. But we just have to be careful the type of standards that we start to set for ourselves. And also what we do. Some people get online, they brag about how they got a sneaky link, they laugh about it, they talk about how this is what they do. And if this is the case and this is true, you're setting your standard up for what you accept with other people. And if this is what you promote and this is what you do, or you're meeting people and you're getting to know people and you're letting them know, yeah, I do sneaky links, I do this, I do that. This is the standard you're setting. Some people may say they don't care, but if you're looking for a serious relationship and somebody who's looking for something serious as well, they may say, well, if that's what this person usually does and this is what they're used to, I may not take them seriously. I may not even get myself involved with that, because that's not the kind of person that I want to be associated with. Not necessarily because you may be a bad person, but because this is the standard that you have set for yourself. So we have to be very careful with the things that we accept, the things that we set for ourselves, because not only does it set up a pattern and a standard for our own selves, but it also sets up a standard for how other people view us and how other people will perceive us, and then go on to move accordingly with us. People don't know you as much until they really get to know you, right? So people are not going to go through all the nooks and crannies and all that and spend 15, 20 years, right? They're going to assess you. They're going to hear what you're saying. They're going to see what you've done, especially if you haven't really taken time since you've done those things. And then they're going to say, okay, this is what they do. And then they may move on, or they may still deal with you, but they won't go on a deep level with you. So we just have to be careful with that. And you have to be careful what you could be also potentially bringing into a new relationship. So that's all I have. I hope that y'all found this beneficial. I'm not telling y'all what to do. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do, because people say, oh, don't tell people what to do. It's not about telling people what to do. It's about giving some insight and some perspectives. I think this is very important to talk about, because we live in a culture that promotes this casual fling type of stuff, and it can be very dangerous, especially for younger adults or even teenagers. So we just have to be really, really careful with that. I'm not saying you can't still date, you can't still have fun, but you can have fun and date without putting yourself in risky situations. You don't even have to be getting physically intimate. That's another conversation for another day, right? I know, as crazy as that may sound to some people, but this is what the world pushes. But they never push, abstinence. They never push taking your time. They never push not overindulgence. Even in a marriage, there should be some level of discipline, and restraint, and level of fasting from things. So that's just the reality of the world we live in. We don't live in a balanced world, right? So that's that. But I hope this was beneficial. It was also beneficial to me, even though I'm not currently in a sneaky link, right? But I still found it beneficial to be able to write these things down and think about it and offer some perspectives that came to me. And this is not just for this type of topic. It can be beneficial for other type of situations romantically as well. So take care, and I hope y'all enjoy the video, and I'll come to y'all again with another video again soon. Take care. Bye.